Cool. We are recording.
Excellent. I don't know why we can get into this meeting and not the other one, but take advantage of what we can get.
Yeah. Are we ready to get started with issue triage?
Do we have a triage driver?
I volunteered.
Yeah, your name is there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, well, I'll go for it.
Rob Scott.
All right. So the first one, IPv6 dual stack, error log flooding when using IPVS mode in kubeproxy.
Uh-oh.
I think that there are several related to this. And I don't know if it's the IP family 4 out. This.
Okay. Is that you volunteering to follow up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to assign 2 teams. So.
For what it's worth, the discussion about how to handle IP family is still ongoing. It's been very slow. It's 1 or 2 messages a day back and forth, but we're homing in on a solution.
Well, I'm confident that you, Jordan and Carl, are able to find the best solution.
I don't know about best, but we'll find something.
Do we think that that solution will change after 119? Like, how confident are we that that solution will be the solution moving forward?
I mean, we were confident that we had it before, so about the same, maybe slightly less at this point. It addresses the issues that we can think of right now. Yeah, it's challenging. There's a whole bunch of other API stuff that's happening at the same time around guidance on adding new fields and how to do that safely. I can only say we think we've got it this time, but we thought we had it last time too.
All right, well, we'll keep going here. Kubernetes service not accessible. This is for the Kubernetes dashboard, it looks like, and specifically for requests coming externally to the machine, the server. Anyone familiar with how dashboard is configured?
It says page not found, which means they got somewhere.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a dashboard problem.
Yeah. Is there a SIG that?
I think there was something with UX, Kubernetes UX, or someone like there was looking at this once. Yeah, there's something weird about getting the dashboard up. Like, I don't remember. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. Who should I assign this to?
Are we saying
I can at least temporarily look at stuff if nobody else wants to take it. It's a dumb issue, so.
Is that Casey?
that was Jay? I was also talking at the same time now.
Wait, who was it?
It was both of us.
Okay. Casey, you are the winner. All right. Set the time dynamically for the initial delay seconds parameter of the health check. This seems to be.
Yeah, why is this network?
Great question.
Why does it need to be like
You could assign this one to me.
Okay. I can type. Anyone familiar on Amazon side?
No.
Who's that?
It's not like Andrew sort of
couldn't hear whoever said something. Was somebody claiming this? Okay, I would, isn't there an area AWS or? Cloud
So it
provider?
does have cloud provider. It does not have.
Isn't there a specific label
Yeah.
for AWS?
So I think it's area AWS, right? I don't know if this will work.
I think it is area, yeah. Should we remove sig-network from this?
And remove SIG.
Sure. I'll come back to that one. All right, load balance to source ranges not properly applied using IPVS.
IPVSers? Anyone? Knowing that we have probably spotty attendance today.
Yes, code freeze.
Also, new meeting.
Add that too. So 116, recent now.
Is there anybody, any comments on the download?
Nothing.
Can you tag Andrew?
Yeah.
Andrew, I don't know if you're here, but you're getting this one.
I'd be happy to give it a shot. This is my first meeting, though, so I don't know what the rules and regulations are.
If you want to triage, please step up. Sorry, we usually say that at the beginning of triage. This is not about solving the bugs. This is about confirming that they do or don't actually exist, or that they're not support requests and those sorts of things. So anybody who wants to pitch in, volunteer, and what we expect is that you follow up with the reporter and confirm that the thing actually exists.
Oh.
You don't have to try to solve it.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Who's that?
This is Rich Renner.
What's your GitHub?
Renner-OSI.
Are you an org member?
No, I don't believe so. I
So
guess.
you probably can't get a sign. But
That's all right. I'll follow up afterwards.
yeah, why don't you just add his name? Sorry, can you spell it out for us?
RENNER-OSI.
Does that look right?
Mhm.
Cool.
I got the issue number marked down.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
I'll
Thanks
go
for helping.
Thanks. Yeah, no worries.
Custom CNI RT Netlink. File exists issue.
This does not seem like a Kubernetes bug.
Yeah. Anyone want to volunteer to say that here?
I'll give it to me. I'll do it. That's easy.
Okay. Doesn't distributed send traffic to pod when using IPVS? Okay, so just not completely.
Looks like it's not equally balanced or something.
Yeah.
Somebody want to triage this? Somebody who's got IPVS experience would be best, but not necessary.
Huh. Yeah, I can look at this because I did some tests at a much larger scale than this, and IPVS was doing great. So I will take a look, even though I'm not great at anything else around IPVS.
I believe it could be an ECMP problem if you had a load balancer or a router before this who does ECMP to multiple nodes. Then you get a random or,
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you volunteering for this then?
Yeah, if I'm not a member, so.
Okay, well, I will, I'll CC you and I'll sign myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kubelet deletes the pod before cleaning the CNI resources.
Which environment?
They do not say.
triage.
All right. I think I'll only do maybe a couple more here. Oh,
It's
yeah.
working fine. I can build and everything, but it's complaining in here. Oh, I think that's just you need to like resync whatever the. Yeah, I did everything. Sourcing dependency.
Okay, so missing egress network policy tests.
It's building and it's not clean. That's the problem. Yeah, but you can invalidate the caches if you want.
We're working on that stuff. There's Abhishek is working on
That
some of
might
stuff.
help.
So am I.
Like invalidate cache. So
Yeah, I think I did.
You did that already.
Yeah.
Then it's
Getting a lot of, I think, background noise. If you're not.
Yeah, I think I took care of
We
it.
got them. Sorry, Jay, does this need triage or is this just an issue?
This needs a triage.
Remove triage. I think we only need to do that. Just remove triage.
Yeah, I think you can remove triage.
Okay. All right, and I think given how late we started, I'm going to call this the last one. Okay. The number of endpoints is greater than the number of pods. This was an interesting one. There are 3 pods and 5 endpoints, all targeting different pods. So you can see the names are all unique here. So it seems like endpoints are not getting cleaned up. Oh, right. Oh, this is 1.14. That's it. And no, but somebody has already responded on this that 1.14 isn't something we support. So, and shortly, 1.15 won't be something we support. So given that, I'm tempted to just close this. Unless
Can you just scan, go hit the bottom again?
Yeah.
This is the last message there.
This one.
Okay. Can we just respond real quick? Like, if you can reproduce this on a more recent version, then please reopen.
Yeah. Well, I won't waste time on, I'll come back to this one, and I will hand it back over to Casey.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
By chance, do you know what time this meeting is going to end, since it's free tier?
My guess is on 2:50 Pacific-ish. We might have a minute or two after that.
Cool. Well, we'll try to be speedy. I think most of the stuff on the agenda is pretty quick, but Jay, you have a demo. Do you know about how long you need for that demo?
We can make it fast. I know there's a lot going on, so we can make it pretty quick.
Do you mind if we do some of the quicker ones first to get them out of the way, or?
Go ahead. That's fine.
Cool. We will come back to that in just a little bit. Jeremy, do you want to go next and just talk quickly about the Services API proposal?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Jeremy. I work with all the people in the Google room there. We've been kind of kicking around a Services API proposal for multi-cluster. We've been working through it with some people from SIG-MC and figured that it has a lot of networking impacts, so we should probably talk about it here. Let me just share real quick. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it. So yeah, basically we put together this doc kind of outlining the goals and what we're thinking. We really want to tackle 2 major use cases, which are connecting to services deployed in a different cluster, simply. I've got a service in cluster A and I want to consume it from cluster B. And then the more complicated case of a single service that's deployed across multiple clusters and exposing it to consumers within some group of clusters as a single service. High level goal is we want to expose it as similarly to like a cluster IP service inside a cluster today, hopefully building on top of Qproxy and other things that we already have, like something that looks and feels similar to the current service API. Basically, we're thinking about introducing a new service export CRD that basically declares the intent to export a service among other clusters that are connected to some registry. We're kind of hand waving away what that registry looks like. Maybe there'll be multiple implementations. And then on the other side, there'll be a new CRD called imported service that looks a lot like service today, but basically provides a way to expose that imported service and aggregate all of the endpoints across all of the clusters and create some kind of supercluster is what we've been calling it as a name, but some kind of like supercluster level or group level DNS name for that service. So without digging too much into this right now, because we do have a shorter day, we'd love feedback if everyone could take a look at the doc. It's linked in the agenda. But yeah, please read it through, add any feedback, questions, thoughts, things you really don't like. You know, this is all exploration right now, but input would be really appreciated.
Jeremy, can you also send a note to the SIG-net mailing list with a link to the doc and a short description of what you're trying to do? So, you know, like get people interested in the email and then send it to the doc.
Perfect. Yes, will do. I'll send that out after this meeting.
Cool. Thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, please do take a look at that if you're interested and get some good discussion on the doc.
Awesome.
Rob, you want to do a quick ingress update?
Yeah, this is real quick, but just to say, I know we'd initially planned on ingress going to V1 in 1.18, and that is not happening. But everything that we had hoped to get into V1 is getting into V1 Beta 1. Basically, it is not a great idea to add new fields in a single release to a V1 GA API. And generally, the practice would be to feature gate it. And if you're going to feature gate it as part of a V1 release, it feels weird. So the decision was we'll keep it V1 Beta 1, add everything that we were going to add to V1, and 1.19 it will be formally V1. So that's all.
Hoorah.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody who's working on that.
Yes, it is exciting. Everything is either approved or merged today, so I think we'll be good. And thanks to Chris for doing a lot of work on that as well. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Rob. Pramesh, Jay?
Yeah, this is Pavitra. I put that in there really short. There's a survey that I sent out on the sig-network mailing list as well, and I put the link here to get some feedback on node local DNS cache feature. If you have used the feature, please fill out the survey and leave some feedback. That's all.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, anybody using node local cache, the link is right there. And then Minhan, you want to talk quickly about external IP, external traffic policy.
So this is a small bug, I would say. So the right now the external traffic policy doesn't apply to external IPs on the services.
Specifically the field external IPs.
Not the load balancer IP in the status, but the external IP field where you can put arbitrary IPs associated with the service. So I think being external traffic policy, like the name suggested, it should apply to all external traffic. So it should be also applying to external IPs on the service. And to be honest, the fix is quite straightforward. I fix IP tables and IPDS. It can literally be just 3 lines of code change. But this potentially can be a breaking change for some corner cases, corner case configs. Like if you have a load balancer type service, and you have a load balancer vid in the service status, and then you also specify external traffic policy equals to local. And along with that, it will specify external IPs, additional external IPs on the service. So today, only the load balancer bit will get the external traffic policy local behavior. And if I fix that for external IPs, then suddenly all of them will get the traffic policy local. We internally on GKE, we did a scan, and there's not many customers having this kind of setup. I would say very niche, and then and I believe they intend to use external IPs just the way as the load balancer IP. So I'm just presenting to the community and see if anyone has a strong opinion to change this 3 lines of code, like that potentially will break some, corner cases.
So when I was doing that flow chart of the IP table stuff a couple months back, I noticed this bug, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that that was wrong. So sort of in my mind, I agree that it's pretty wrong and that it seems obvious to fix. But strictly speaking, it is a significant change, potentially. So would love to hear people's thoughts on whether they think it's something that's actually got some meaningful use case. Because we could do a more complicated fix if we have to.
Basically, whether the original behavior, is it a bug or a feature?
Feels, I don't know, I have to think about it some more, but I've also seen this and it feels like it's a bug, and can't immediately think of a reason you would want that asymmetric behavior.
Yeah. That's my lean. I've been trying to think up a synthetic reason why somebody might maybe want this, and I just can't. But real users are far more creative than me. So please, maybe the follow-up here is send this in an email to the mailing list, but this is the seed. Like, everybody here, please go off and think about whether this is actually something that you or your customers might use, and if so, why?
I mean, they can always split to another service with traffic policy cluster. So I don't.
Sure, but if we think people are actually using it, then we should be careful.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Oh, and by the way, if we decided to fix it as a bug, can someone on the Windows kubeproxy side also help? Because I can fix the IP tables and IPVS and test it out, but I would need some help on the Windows side. I would imagine it's probably just a couple of line fix as well. So, yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Manon. Jay, I think it is your time to shine.
Hey. Okay.
Looks like you've probably got about 15 minutes.
Cool. We can go quick. Casey, you've already seen this. So Abhishek and me, Abhishek works on a CNI, and so me and some other people have put together this new network policy testing thing. Me, Sadef, who's also here on the call, and Abhishek and Matt Fenwick, who's not here today, and a few other people have all helped us with this, Cody over here on our end. And some of you have seen it, some of you have not, so feel free to interrupt with questions. This is going to be a pretty casual presentation. I just put this in Markdown. It's an abbreviation of what we've already had, but as many of you know, the network policy tests are undercovered. Not only undercovered, but the semantics of them is kind of messy, and until we saw a few things. There was some tests that actually just didn't work, which indicated to us that people aren't actually running them upstream, which possibly means that they're not very useful. So we want to make them more useful, more declarative, increase the test coverage. There's other issues floating around. So quick problem statement is, typical in our tests, we test something like this, but at the top here, this little, wait. I'm not even sharing my screen, am I?
No, you're not.
I clicked share screen, and then I just looked at Zoom, and it's not even there. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen. No, we can't read it.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Okay, tell me if it gets better. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah. So upstream, this is what we test typically, right? We have a positive control and a negative control for our network policies, and that's not really testing everything that we'd be interested in. As we all know, there's a lot of different connections that that are worth evaluating. But there's another advantage to this, which is that we spin up a new namespace every time we test, or spin up new pods in every namespace, which makes things very slow. So actually talking to some people in the Calico community, getting some insight from how they run some tests. We stole an idea, which is to use a probe, where you spin up these namespaces statically and then you probe into them. So the way that works is something like this. So we have a testing library, and some of you have seen this KEP. It's up already. But the way you run this is it's just a Kubernetes job, and yeah, that's the way it works now. We haven't integrated it with the E2E Ginkgo framework yet, simply because we just wanted to have something that we could run as is, that worked the way we wanted it to, and I can work on the framework stuff later at some point. So anyways, just a quick demo of it and how it works, and then meanwhile I'll show you what the code looks like, and while this runs, then Abhishek has a couple of things he's going to say from the CNI perspective. So I will pull up the code here. Let's see here. Okay, and we've just recently merged this into upstream Antrea. Okay. There we go. Yeah, okay, so this is what a test looks like. We have a truth table that we define, and rather than having like a big large go struct, we just have a add an ingress rule, and then set a set a default value for whether a pods can be reached or not, and then from there we decide what you're applying your policy to, which is what this x/a namespace x pod a, and then poke holes in your firewall here. So like 3-4 lines of code, we're defining something that takes like 20 or 30, but it's lines of code. But it's not about saving lines of code. It's more about making the tests more declarative and easy to read and understand. So we've been using this. We're running it in CI. Abhishek can talk more about how we're running it, and implementation details again of how we implement it, with how we can sort of move things over into framework.e2e and everything. We can probably talk about at a later time. That's pretty easy. So that's all I got. Abhishek, do you want to flesh things out? You can see things running in my terminal here, but it outputs the kubectl exec commands for every probe operation it does. And you can see these tests run very fast because they're just probing pods talking to each other. So that's my fast version. Abhishek, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about the current state, what we have achieved so far. So what Jay has already shown, it's already implemented in some sort of a POC way framework in the Antrea repository. So at the moment we run about 14 test cases, but there are 14 different scenarios. So we essentially run each test case and through the entire truth table. So yeah, it's a very comprehensive way of testing it, and it all completes in about 10 minutes. When you compare this with the upstream end-to-end network policy test cases, it takes close to 45 minutes to an hour. So it's a considerable save, and I think we also have some places where we can run some more Go routines and make it even faster. And just this week, or actually I should say yesterday, we integrated this into the Antrea CI pipeline. Essentially what we do is we are running this against every code commit that gets in, just to make sure that there's no regression. We spin up a kind cluster, and then the framework tests every network policy scenarios. So yeah, I also wanted to touch upon some of the next steps that we want to do. First thing is, get more feedback from the community, more requirements on this KEP. Also, as I said, we only did 14 test cases so far, but we want to improve the coverage. We want to add more name port supports and cited block support that we are missing right now. But I'm sure that once we add that, it will still be close to 10 to 12, 15 minutes or so of total runtime. We also have SEDEF has actually added those test cases on the node specific cases. We have to implement that, but it's part of the KEP. And a couple of things that came up from on Slack channel and by socializing with other people is some people wanted to do scale testing, and some of the folks wanted to do use the same framework for different resources, like for services or ingresses, and just to ensure that the CI runs faster. So those are the two things that we want to get feedback from you guys and see whether this aligns with this framework, or should we do a parallel work for this, especially the test cases, doing a churn test, and how do we run it? How do we ensure that everyone's like testing against it? In my opinion, maybe we should first start small and do what we are currently doing in upstream conformance tests and replace that with this framework just for network policies, and then move forward. But feedback is welcome, and see how we can improve. Yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about. But yeah, we definitely want to hear back from the community and see what should our next steps be, and we just don't want to drop dead here now and not move forward.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, the test results are here. You could see like ultimately what we're outputting is a matrix of whether this can talk to this. So you could see it's really easy to see like all these. This is like, I guess, block everything in namespace X, right? So loopback still works, policy. But each one you could just kind of look at it and see whether it's working or not. And then you could just copy paste these as needed and verify, because typically we do see issues, as many of you know, where we have, a network policy is conflicting with another network policy. We just saw one today with a customer where there's two different sources of network policies because of a policy engine they're running and stuff like that. So it's tricky to reason about these things in production. I think that's about it.
Anyways, I just want to say that it's an interesting thing, and also you can think about it. Every E2E test could potentially be a debugging tool, could potentially be like, there's an interesting thing where you could make it even more generically usable. As you mentioned, you had a debugging use case as well.
Yeah, we talked about that, right? Like, I mean, we could make things a little more declarative. We could kind of move this up a little, right? Further towards the testing end over time, to make more of the tests sort of stateful in a good way, I guess.
And I think the framework, we do provide a way to debug it. Like, for example, we don't clean up the pod, so you can, run it and then try the test case yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, there are two ways of looking at it. One is testing the entire CNI, and the other is providing a debugging platform or a framework.
I think the KEP is out there. You guys put the link there in the notes.
Yeah. Did we put the link? I don't know. I think so. I'll put it.
Cool. More tests, always more better. So thank you for that. I'll have to go and really take it apart. It's interesting. I'm not sure I understand everything that's going on in that code snippet without diving deep. But I will say that I'm a big fan of centralizing the repeated boilerplate parts of the test. So good objective.
On that note, I'm hoping there's a lot of meta testing to make sure the builder is actually doing the right thing, because broadly I've seen many hidden failures come from tests like this where the builder or abstraction doesn't work entirely as intended, and then the test writer doesn't see that.
Yeah, it's definitely probably a little broken right now. So I think it only does what we showed you. so, so yeah, we'll definitely flush it out more.
Test the tests.
Cool.
There's a performance thing we talked about here also with Bowie and others, and Lee over there at Google. I don't know if we want to talk about that now or another time, but part of the reason we built this is that building these to scale for the types of things we really want to measure when you're stacking 30 or 40 policies, it just gets completely untenable the way we're doing things right now upstream. So it's just something to think about. It's in the CAP.
All right.
How are we doing on time, Rob?
We have minutes.
It gave us a free upgrade. Which,
oh, really?
Yeah, so.
Right when you're using it?
Yeah.
The 40-minute limit was just a scare tactic.
Apparently.
That's not true because it cut us off in another meeting.
Okay.
Well, that was actually the last item on the agenda, so I think we would have made it.
Cool.
Were there any other topics that anybody want to discuss?
We did talk about egress validation, Casey, on the mailing list the other day. The validating that weird thing where you have the egress policy type and then you have an egress rule, or you don't have the egress policy type and you do have an egress rule, and there's this weird thing that doesn't make sense. Is that an API? Does that count as an API change if we validate that and reject those?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can say that it was semantically meaningless before, then we can make it an argument that anybody who's using it was probably wrong. I didn't catch all the details of this one, so I'll have to go look at it specifically. But in general, tightening validation is almost never done. Loosening validation is more possible.
Oh man, Rob can say something about that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's certainly, well, I think the best we could say is that it's semantically ambiguous rather than meaningless. But there's an interpretation of it that you could take. It's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that thing.
Okay, I guess it's worth writing up and then letting people make a decision then, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Jay.
Yep.
Last chance for other topics. Sorry, I won't see any of you in Amsterdam.
For a couple more months.
Maybe in July, we'll see.
Yeah.
Or August.
Or August. It'll be, I imagine it will be a very difficult thing for a lot of people to change their plans, and there's summer planning that's already happened. And so it's disappointing, but it is what it is, and I think it's probably for the best anyway. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
See you all in a couple weeks.
Thanks all.